Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to Breakfast with Bacon, the Relationship Doctor, here on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Call in and be a part of today's program. Call 757-222-3705. That's 757-222-3705. Now, here is the host for Breakfast with Bacon, Dr. Christine Bacon.
Thanks for tuning in. My guest just was making me laugh. It's like, do I call you Christine or Dr. Bacon? And I know that the intro always comes that way. I have to tell you, it's Christine always. My mom, I cannot get her to say anything but Dr. Bacon. So we just got back from a trip in Montana. It was a family reunion, and my mom's telling everybody, Dr. Bacon, doctor, can you come over here? I'm like, Mom, how about just Christine? You know, we'd go to the grocery store. She'd tell a cashier, this is my daughter. She's a doctor, Dr. Bacon. Yeah, she did. I'm like, Mom, shut up. I didn't say it that way, but, you know, it's cool. Yes, I earned it, but it's just kind of like, Mom.
Good morning, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. And so since I just gave that long soliloquy on my name, my guest today, his name is Adrien Jacob. He is an author of the book, which currently is titled Man Speaks. And so all of my regular listeners who know me and they know what I love to write about, and they've read my book, The Super Couple, or they at least heard about it, they know why I wanted you on the air. Why on earth would a man want to write a book called Man Speaks? Adrien?
Well, thank you. And again, good morning, Christine. It's great to be here. Great to be at your studio and great to have breakfast with you.
Of course, bacon makes everything better.
Always does. The journey of my life has been a fantastical one, and one of the things that I continue to do is look for guideposts in my life, look for affirmations, look for things that tell me to move in one direction or not in another direction. And we've all had those experiences where you know you are doing exactly the thing that your God, your higher being, your source desires of you. You are in that place moving with purpose.
Yeah, that place. That's all I can ever say. That place.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know it when you're there.
Yeah. And so for me, the journey has been one of listening to my own awareness, listening to my divine guidance, listening to my God, and following where he's leading me. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating along the way, the people and events that transpire that tell you you're doing the right thing. You're going in the right direction. And so the idea to write has been it's not of my own volition. It just comes.
Yes.
And when you finally take that moment and sit down at your computer and start typing the words, the thoughts, the inspiration, they come.
When you were fighting it before.
Yes.
Why were you fighting it?
Why were I fighting it? So, and the affirmations that I have been receiving along the way, that this is important, Adrien, what you were talking about matters, to get a man who I'm not a man who has a PhD in psychology or in relationships. All I have is my own experiences.
You're an expert in being a man.
That's the one thing I'm really good at.
You are.
And I'm a seeker. I'm a seeker of information. I'm a seeker of passionate communication, and I'm a seeker of intimacy in every form of my life. So the book has been that. The writing has been that outlet for me to have a place to park it, a place to see what it says and put it out there and see what comes back. How's it been received? And the support, the encouragement, the guideposts that continue to show up are reminding me, keep going. Yeah. So even we Kohler Books. A shout out to John Kohler.
Best publisher ever. We love you, John.
John's a friend and a member of a fraternity a philanthropic fraternity that we're involved with. And after reading my manuscript, my working manuscript, his first reaction was, you should talk to Dr. Christine Bacon. You and her are on the same...
Kindred spirits.
On the same path, the same desire to share, the same desire to enlighten. You're coming at it from a different place than she is, but reach out to her, and that's a divine
we're here.
connection.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I pay attention, and that's what leads me.
So why this book? Why now? I mean, you lived your life was good, and then all of a sudden, why did you? I mean, if you've always been an information seeker, why now? What caused you to?
Life changes.
Yeah.
Shift happens.
Yeah, I like that. Shift happens.
So after a 26-year marriage to a wonderful woman, I, through my own decisions, I found myself seeking something else, something different, something more. And I think it's that desire that is within the human spirit to, and this doesn't, I don't mean this to sound in any way,
condescending.
but to not settle. I was settling within myself. I knew that there was more for me, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I was seeking more than in myself than what I was putting.
Is that like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization, or is it in a different place than that?
I think it might be in a little bit different place, but pushing, listening to what my God is telling me and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And again, listening to friends and people that I trusted and I trust were looking at me and saying, you're not happy. There's something more that you're not seeking for yourself. You're not living your fullness. You're not following your divine purpose. Mm-hmm. And so you're a father, you're a husband, you're a career person, and so you're doing those things because that's what you do.
Right.
And it was in that major life shift of my children finally going off, my last child finally going off to college, and looking at my life in a completely different place. At where was my father versus where was Adrien, mm-hmm. And it was time to seek Adrien. It was time to seek who he was, who I was. And why was I here? What was my purpose here? I've done the husband, I've done the father, I've done the businessman. Is there something else? So, again, making that very, very thoughtful and very difficult decision to end that union with my former wife. I found myself, I relocated back here to Virginia Beach, and began finding that women, to a great degree, had been willing to be more honest with the world on what their desires in a relationship were. And when I was forced to sit down that first time and look at a computer and go, okay, what do I desire in my partner? And the question is, what do I desire within myself? Because what I've had come to understand is, well, I would think my partner can do this and this and this and this for me, but what is it that I really desire in myself? And that began a searching, a seeking, and looking for wisdom, looking for doing that reading, doing that work, doing that research, and picking up books like David Data, The Way of the Superior Man, Gary Chapman's The Five Love Languages, which is an amazing book, and finding within myself things like codependency that I really probably never understood.
No idea was
had
there.
no idea what that was.
Right.
And all of a sudden you read this book and you go, yeah,
that's me.
I really do this really well.
Yeah.
And looking at the interactions of other people who have, what appear to be wonderful relationships, looking at how a woman values different aspects of the relationship. And
well, what do you mean by that? What do you think men as a whole, and no, if you're listening, we're not pegging every one of you.
Everyone's the same.
Right. What do you mean by that? Every man would look into a relationship, the majority of them, as opposed to a woman. Before we went on the air, you had kind of said.
Yeah. I think women, it's my belief that women are much more introspective than men are within their own feelings, their own awarenesses, their own fears, wants, and desires, and they contemplate on those much more deeply than men
and much
do.
more comfortably. So let's cut men some slack.
Yes.
The way our brains are wired, the emotion center is wrapped around the verbal center for a female. So when she feels a particular emotion, she is able to label it. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling hurt. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, since you're the expert in men, it threatens men because you can't label the emotion. You don't know, most of the emotions. Like a woman can, because your emotion center is wrapped around your spinal cord, which means when you feel something, you just want to punch something. You want to go for a jog. You want to
fight or flight.
Yeah, swing a baseball bat. Well, your body needs to move.
Right.
And so, I mean, does that seem...
Yeah, and the other piece that I think is inherent in myself and in most men is the desire to serve their partner, serve their spouse. Some are better at living it and being okay with that reality.
Right.
And if you're coming to me from a place of lack in the relationship, it's very easy for me to take on that as failure, and I am failing in this relationship. And so I don't even want to talk about it.
So you're saying that as a man
Yeah.
or as Adrien? So we as men are looking at that as like a lack. You point out something in me, and because I'm not, as you said, introspective like the females in terms of relationships.
What am I doing
I've
wrong?
just been attacked as I'm wrong. I don't want to hear this anymore.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And we go to that fight or flight. So at that point, the natural response in men is, I'm going to either prove you wrong and tell you all the reasons that I believe that you are happy, and that, look, I could do this and I do this.
Yeah,
and
I go
do
to a
this.
job.
I
I
got
do
a job.
work all the
you don't-
time. I keep myself in shape.
you know, and you have this great life.
Yes.
How
Look at
could
that diamond on your hand.
How could you not be happy?
I'm awesome.
Right.
Which
You're
clearly you are.
You're the luckiest woman in the world.
You got me.
So that's that fight or flight, I think, instinctive response that men typically have. So in that, there is such truth to be garnered if the couple can create a place of safety where a woman has a place that she can come and say, I have these feelings, I have these emotions, I have this issue that I would really love to talk to you about. And a man can step into that place, that sacred place, like you talked about in your book, where there is that safety where both can be heard, both can be
Have
acknowledged.
their needs met.
Yeah,
And
and
still feel validated.
just be heard.
Yeah.
Because if you ask most women what their greatest desire is to be heard. And most men, their greatest challenge is to create a place where they can sit and listen without feeling threatened.
Well, I would say women, it's not just to be heard, it's to be heard and then understood. You know,
Yeah,
I want you to
absolutely
not
true.
just
Yes.
hear me. Oh, I'm hearing you. Move on. Let's go play football. But I want to try to understand you. And even in your understanding, if you don't get me, it's attractive because you're trying so hard to get me. You know what I mean? And that's just attractive. I was just saying that about my husband. He so wants to please me. His biggest problem is he's a black and white man. He can't see that which does not exist. And so he's got to get to a place of trusting, like you said, Adrien, that trust that I have a relational perspective that he doesn't yet have. I have insights. And that's, I think, another thing women want. It's like, trust my insights in some of these areas. And that's what correct. Again, this is, you're the man expert. You know,
I still am a man.
You're
yes.
still a man. But, is that threatening to the man to say, I just want you to trust my insights? Does that seem...
And I think I would think it would go both ways. Is that the woman can understand, can gain so much more insight into the male psyche as the man's desire to understand the woman's psyche and her wants and needs and desires. There is that conduit that we can create the same. I'm going to use my faith conduit. There is that conduit that exists between me and my God and my source, and He is always there.
Right.
And imagine there's this pipe that is from myself to my God, and it's always open. It's me that has this little damper over my head, and
Right.
I can close it. And I can shut off that communication, or I can open it up just a little bit and see what kind of comes through. And He is trying to come through to inspire me, to seek me, to be with me, to connect with me. So imagine that same conduit that can exist between
a man and
a man and a woman.
Right.
And it is the free flow of emotions and communications and vulnerableness between
That's the key. Vulnerability.
and
for both men
for
and women.
both women. And that is the place where men will get to that place of vulnerability
And back off.
because is it really
uncomfortable.
safe? Is it safe to be that vulnerable with another person?
You know, I taught
Are you going
anger-
to use this against me at some future date?
I taught anger management for many years, and I did it with the Navy and the military, all these military guys, SEALs and high ranking and low ranking and stuff. And I tell you, Adrian, in my 10, 15 years doing it, the number one emotion that men hated and found difficult to express was weakness. I'm not weak. I'm not going to cry because I'm not weak. And I believe that weakness is so abhorrent to men because it is, to them, a sign of vulnerability. So I can't make myself vulnerable because it'll make me look weak. When women perceive it the opposite, women are like, if you're vulnerable to me, that's a strength, that you have the confidence to be vulnerable. It's very attractive because so we have to be better as women at explaining that, because my husband's always like, I don't want to be a crybaby. I don't act like a woman. I don't want to be all. I said, I don't want a pansy kind of man who cries. And I mean, I want you to be able to be enough in touch with your emotions to shed a tear on occasion. But, so trying to express to a man vulnerability does not mean weakness. It's actually the opposite.
And there's an interesting correlation between vulnerability and strength that a man has to walk that balance. For example, you desire your man to be strong. Women, it's my belief, and I've witnessed it in my relationship, they desire to be able to push against their man every now and then. When they are feeling in a position of weakness, they will find a way to create some opportunity to see, are you there? Are you solid in this relationship? And I'm going to emotionally push against you. To engage you and see who's there, who's at the door, and who's really
Are you flying or are you fighting?
Solid?
Are you fighting or are you flying?
Exactly.
Right. Are you going to fight for me? Are you going to stay here?
Yep. And sometimes it's not even a conscious decision.
Rarely.
So there's that place that a man, to be strong, has to be able to take that push in whatever shape or form it comes.
Not be threatened by it.
And not be threatened by it. And to be able to look his partner in the eye and go, yeah, I'm not here. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm here, honey. I'm here for you, honey.
I'm here. I'm not going
leaving.
Yeah. Are you all done? Okay. Let's go back to having fun.
There's something, I think, for men and women, that right there, I think if we could sum up both of our worldviews, would you say, for me it does, but would you say for you that's it, is like for the man to know, the woman, I'm here, I'm not leaving you, I love you in all your imperfections, and for the same, for the man to the woman.
Absolutely. And I think part of it is, looking back, and for me, I've had issues of abandonment. And so that was a place for me to recognize that just because there's an issue here doesn't mean that you're going to be leaving me.
Right. Just because someone else abandoned me doesn't mean you will, though it's really hard.
It's great to make that connection.
We're
really good at it.
Yes, all of us are, men and women.
Yeah.
So we're having a great conversation here today. My guest.
This is fun.
I know, having a great time. My guest, Adrien Jacob. He's author of the book, we're pretty sure it's titled Man Speaks. It's still being published right now. He and I are both experts in the same area. We love to understand our own brains and the brain of the opposite sex, because our goal is really to have good, healthy, strong relationships. Yes?
Absolutely. And the key is creating that place of communication between a couple that creates that sacred place where they can share.
So we're going to talk more about that space.
Great.
But we have to take a commercial break. So we'd love for you to come back and listen to why, or, has this worked? So anyway, my name is Dr. Christine Bacon. You're listening to Breakfast with Bacon, and I need you to stay tuned.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Hi, this is Curtis Price, Vice President of Price's Transmissions. Third generation family owned and operated for over 38 years and known for integrity, loyalty, and dependability. Price's Transmissions, respected home of top quality transmission service in southeastern Virginia. Your transmission provides the heartbeat of your car. When something goes wrong, you want unfailing quality and reliability to get it back on the road fast. At Price's Transmission, we offer a variety of specialty services you won't find anywhere else. Our reputation is second to none because we value every customer. After 38 years, you know we must be doing something right. Call me, Curtis Price, at 757-497-6644 or visit us online at pricestransmission.com. Integrity, loyalty, dependability. Price's Transmission. 757-497-6644.
Attention! This is a public notice from Citizens Disability. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from physical and mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, Citizens Disability can help. You'll be given an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, and deal with Social Security. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. We only get paid if you win your case. There are a number of conditions that could make you eligible for disability benefits, many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call Citizens Disability today to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation. 800-620-1624, 800-620-1624, 800-620-1624. That's 800-620-1624.
Are you getting squeezed by the economic downturn? Hey, you were doing fine. Then, all of a sudden, you're having a tough time paying your family's credit card bills. Maybe you were downsized or even lost a job, but you still owe 10 grand or more in credit card bills. And you just can't afford the minimum payments anymore. We're here to help. We are the Genesis Debt Partners. We know the secrets to negotiate better terms with your creditors. Make a free 10-minute call right now and learn how we can help you get out of debt. 800-215-6814. If you owe 10 grand or more in credit card debt and you want to learn how you can pay less and get out of debt faster, call right now. 800-215-6814. 800-215-6814. Get out of debt now. 800-215-6814.
Since 1918, Norfolk Coffee and Tea has been roasting gourmet coffees. They have seen many changes in the coffee industry, but have never lost their commitment to quality and value. Norfolk Coffee and Tea imports the best beans from growers around the world. Their 100% pure Arabica coffees are fire roasted and stir-cooled to perfection, never burnt. Then they are blended by true coffee experts there on the premises. The result is a rich cup of coffee that captures the complete flavor of coffee. Over 3 generations have trusted Norfolk Coffee and Tea. Visit their shop at 212 East 18th Street in Norfolk. You'll also find a selection of loose tea, K-Cup coffee, and fresh roasted peanuts, roasted on site. Once you experience Norfolk Coffee and Tea, we know you'll be back for more. Norfolk Coffee and Tea, 212 East 18th Street in Norfolk.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
You're listening to Breakfast with Bacon on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Now, back to Dr. Christine Bacon.
Thanks for staying tuned. My guest is author Adrien Jacob, and the book is currently titled Man Speaks, though it's in publication, so it may change its name. But go for that at this moment, right?
It's working so far.
It's working so far. And it's a book that really explains the general gist of the book is you want to help women understand men and men understand women, or the communication patterns between. If we had to give a one-liner.
It's about establishing intimate communication and creating a safe place between a couple.
Between the sexes.
Yes.
Okay. So, and actually, before I ask you a question, I forgot during the first segment to put out the phone number. If you have a question for Adrien, the number here is always area code 757, and that number is 322-3705. Of course, I'd love for you to save that number in your phone, and you can give us a call anytime you're listening to a show, and it really is kind of engaging you. So, If you have a question for him or me regarding this topic, the number is 322-3705. I've learned in my many years on the air that many... Oh, did I blow that? It's 222-3705. My producer just... I knew that, too.
Redo.
The redo, 222-3705. Even easier because there's lots of twos. So, okay, 757-222-3705. Would love for you to save that number in your phone. And then if you're ever driving and something really speaks to you, you don't have to wait to have that number announced. Because to be perfectly honest, I suck at remembering to announce it. So that's the number.
Set a different intention.
Great intention, but yeah.
You're getting better at it.
I'm getting better.
So it
yes.
is.
So put down WKQA is 222-3705, area code 757. But I've learned in my many years on the air that you really prefer to text me as opposed to calling in. So for those of you who have, and I've got some regular listeners, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that are always texting, and I love it. Well, those are the regulars. I get lots of texts from other people as well. But the number to text is 757-343-0368 and 343-0368. Phone area code is 757. And if you don't want me to say your name, don't put it in the text. I don't know what your name is unless you do. So, okay. Before we went on our commercial break, Adrien.
Yes.
Where is the catalyst for this book? What was the old Adrien like and the new Adrien? What caused this?
The shift happens?
The shift. Yeah, shift happens, man.
I recall an incident with my former spouse, one of many, but it really was a powerful reminder of my power. We were having a conversation. Actually, I can even go back even further to my youngest daughter, my first daughter, my older daughter. We were walking, and I was in a hurry to get from point A to point B, and of course, the 3-year-old toddler, she had her own agenda and where she wanted to move.
She wanted to pick up the pretty flower.
Yes, and I was late for an appointment, and I was holding her hand, and we were walking from the car to this appointment, and I remember just
yanking on her arm.
Giving her that little tug and that daddy voice, and she crumbled. She didn't go, oh, I see, Dad's in a hurry. I should pick up my feet and move a little faster. I realized that I had the ability with my words and my energy to crumble this tiny human being that I loved and cherished and adored. And so you take that and it gets stuck somewhere within a man that when he shows up in his bigness, and sometimes that bigness is in joy and sometimes that bigness is in frustration, but there is a bigness to a man that when he shows up in his full energy, I believed I could destroy. And I witnessed that with my daughter
Which you could, actually.
Yes, absolutely, you actually can. And so that gets stuck somewhere, and you go, well, I need to tone it down. I need to be a little bit smaller with myself. And then I watched it in my relationship with my former spouse, where we would get to that place in that relationship, like you and I were talking about earlier, where that fight or flight, we'd gotten to that point of fight or flight, and of course I was ready to use my energy and my big voice to overpower the conversation and to make my point bigger than, because if I put more energy into it, maybe she'll back down. And I watched my partner crumble again and retreat and into a place of almost fear, and it was heartbreaking to witness. And so, at some level, all of that tells me to tone it down and play a little smaller, play a little more close to the chest. Don't go so big. Don't show up so full. Just kind of go through the motions. And in that, I believe for myself, translated into a lot of other facets of my life. how I wanted to express myself in the world, how I wanted to express my passions, how I wanted to express my beliefs and my desires and my hopes for making a difference in this world. I found myself playing in arenas within my church community that gave me that affirmation, let me play, but felt safe. It felt comfortable. And
can I break you in there?
Please.
Why do you think you felt safe and comfortable in your church family, but not in your marriage?
Because I could be a leader, and it was okay. It was okay to be a youth group leader. It was okay to use my energy, my man to inspire to, because
so your thoughts were respected.
Yes. Oh, good word. Yeah.
Your thoughts, your opinions were respected, and you didn't feel that at home. I'm going to guess.
And it's
and not just you, but men. That's kind of a thing, a theme with.
And I think there was, if I had to be a little reflective, my partner felt, it's my belief that she felt a little threatened by the attention that I was getting. It wasn't okay that I was getting more attention than she was.
Yeah, so instead of reveling in it with you,
Yes.
it was threatening. Isn't that funny about the human spirit, how we all gauge ourselves against one another, especially when that's our spouse, our partner?
And back to one of your comments in the books is, to be the center of her world. And here I was not being the center of her world because I was putting my attention in a place that I thought was safe.
Or not making her the center of your world. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I asked you a question when we were off the air, and I'm going to kind of hit you up on the air, and this is a true question. Like, I don't know the answer. So in my book, if you've read the book, The Super Couple yet, which it's doing quite well. Thank you. I found out that Adrien had ordered it and read it, which made me all excited. And so there's a chapter in my book about I want to be the center of your world. And I'm a female author, and one thing I'm quite cognizant of as a PhD is that don't think your worldview is always true for everyone. It's just true for how, what am I saying? You just don't want to overlay your life. Oh, clearly I've seen this before, so this is how it is. It's not always exactly the same, right? So when I wrote that chapter on I want to be the center of your world, that is every woman I talk to, and when we explain it, absolutely. I want you to treat me like you treated me when we were dating. I want to feel like, oh my God, I get to go home and be with Christine. Oh my gosh, let's go to the movies. Oh, I don't care about doing this because I could be with Christine. And I could, yes, Christine, you love Reese's peanut butter cups. Let me buy you a whole case. All that setup, do you think it's the same for men, or would you just tweak or change the phraseology? Does a man say, I want to be the center of your world? Or would a man, I'm thinking the difference between love and respect or something like that. Take me there.
I think there's a lot of places to go with that. My first reality is that I would phrase it a little bit differently, in that a woman desires a man's attention, his undivided 100% attention when she is ready for it. So there's obviously a time and place for that.
We don't want to stalk her, you mean?
A little bit of that. or I've got this going on right now, and I don't want your attention right now. But when I'm ready for it, you darn well better show up ready to go.
Right. Are you talking even physically as well? Are you referring to sex too?
All of it.
Okay, got it.
If a woman is and I'm using a phrase, if she's in her head, if she's doing the laundry list and got this going on and got this going on, and you're trying, and I was trying to put my attention on my partner, I would feel that resistance. I would feel that, ooh, I've got all this stuff that I'm working on right now. I don't want your attention.
I don't have time for you.
I don't have time for you. And so there is that balance that a man has to be able to read the situation, read their partner. And again, my belief is that it's so much easier for a man if we intentionally create that time and space together where we go, this is our time. Let's put our attention on one another tonight or on Saturday or for the weekend. Whatever that time and place is, to do it intentionally, because one of the great challenges for men is trying to figure out what a woman's thinking, and knowing that we can create a dialogue and say, I don't have to try to figure it out. Let's make a decision to intentionally put this time and space apart so that you and I can put our full attention on one another. That, I think, is a huge piece where, again, I'm not trying to go, okay, is this working? Are you getting closer? Are we going in the right direction?
Right.
Trying to figure it out. A woman's voice is one of the most powerful places where a man can connect emotionally, physically, and energetically by you using your words. And what I've discovered with a lot of women is they don't feel that place where they're heard and, like you said, understood. So a lot of what my book tries to create are opportunities through what I use as physical senses where you and I can create an opportunity to dialogue, just to talk about what was magical today for you. Did you notice the yellow in the sunset tonight? Let's just take a moment and just appreciate the sounds that we're experiencing. Using the 5 basic senses for me is such a invitation to move back in from my head to my body. And if you ask me, Adrien, what color's the sky today? I can go, well, it's blue and there's some beautiful white clouds and I see some little mist over here. And what we've just created is an opportunity to dialogue about something that's non-threatening.
Right.
That's easy to talk about. It's easy for you to see how I see the world through my senses,
right.
Through the sense of touch or smell or taste or feel. We can create an opportunity to dialogue around something as simple as, what does it feel like to be on the beach today?
Yeah.
And that cool breeze came.
And then maybe the man will come up. See, because men want more tangible. Women, we are the relational experts for the most part, which we need to understand that if you're putting too much on a man to understand that he doesn't yet have the capability, back off, because you have to understand our brains are different, right?
Just like a child, you don't.
I don't teach trigonometry to a kindergartner,
and you don't feed steak to a newborn. You feed them pablum, something they can digest, something that's simple for them.
Right.
Men are simple for the most part, and
I hate the word anything that's condescending, and it's become condescending. That's why I don't like to say
Understood.
that. But it is. You're right.
But we're on a journey.
Men are much more sensual.
Yes.
Because of the black and white nature of the male brain. I want to see it with my eyes, not my spiritual eyes, my physical eyes. I want to hear it with my ears. I want to touch it, feel it. That's what I was saying earlier. My husband wants to please me, but it's so hard for him to deal with that which he cannot see, feel, touch, smell.
And so the book is creating physical, sensual, as in connecting with our senses,
right.
Experiences that you can both experience
together.
Come back in a place, in that safe place, and say, let's dialogue about what we just had.
So what you're saying too is, think about it this way. For me as a female, I'm going like, what color, how was the beach today? Or what do you think about when you think about the beach, or, the sun? Maybe as a man you get it correct how I said that. But anyway, it may bring about a story that my husband may say, I remember when I was a kid and I was at the beach and I blah, 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 blah. And right there for women is like, oh my gosh, we're being intimate. We're being intimate.
I've got a story to share about the beach.
Okay.
And it's such a fascinating insight. Do we have time? Are we doing it?
If it's 2 minutes or less. Okay.
A minute and a half. I can do this. So my partner and I.
See, that was a man thing. That was very tactile.
Yes.
Give me time.
Give me time. We love to walk on the north end, and sometimes the sand is soft and sometimes it's hard depending on where the tide is. And we were in soft sand, and I was feeling my body getting agitated. I was having literally a visceral experience of walking through the sand, not because it was hard, but because I could not anticipate what it was going to feel like each step at a time. And so I've always enjoyed, not really reflecting on it, walking on firmer sand, where I know where my foot's going to be one step at a time. And my partner looks at me and she goes, I love walking on the soft sand because you never know what's next. So that joyful, who knows what's next, but that is the nature of who she is. And so she loves walking on the soft sand because the next experience may be totally different than the one you just had one step behind. For me, I love the predictability of knowing my foot
and
is
that is intimacy.
So here was the God moment in there. We were walking, and I was feeling great, and we're holding hands, and I looked down and I recognized that I'm walking on firm sand, and she's walking on soft sands, and we're holding hands. And I went, we can both have our individual journeys and still be together because we understand one another. We've taken a moment to understand, I like soft sand, I like hard sand, and she likes soft sand.
So that you're hearing a little bit about what you might find in the book Man Speaks. Author is Adrien Jacob, and he's my guest today. So you can tell by the title of that book, Man Speaks, is what our topic is today. We do have to take a commercial break, but before we take that commercial break, I wanted to remind you that this show will be uploaded to my website probably this evening, usually, and that's breakfastwithbacon.com. If it's not up today, it's usually up the next day. But all of my shows through 2016, and I'm going back and I'm adding a lot of the shows from 15 and 14, and I might not put 2013 unless they're really good. but if you like this show, go to breakfastwithbacon.com, share it with your friends, share it on Facebook, Pinterest, whatever. There is tools to share it. Just love to hear your feedback. Again, that's breakfastwithbacon.com. And on the website, you can also get information about my new book, The Super Couple, A Formula for Extreme Happiness in Marriage. It is doing well on Amazon. It's sold everywhere. It is sold everywhere where books are sold. And I'm just humbled, that the Lord has used that book to be doing great things without him here through the reviews. But have to take this commercial break. You're listening to Dr. Christine Bacon. This is Breakfast with Bacon.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started.
On August 19th,
my family, they deserve justice.
What is your name?
Ben-Hur.
Best-selling author Rick Warren declares Ben-Hur has it all. Heart-stopping action. It's an emotional roller coaster.
You cannot fight them in the streets. There is a way.
Joel Osteen, senior pastor of Lakewood Church, raves. It's spectacular, compelling, and stunning.
Win the race. Win our freedom.
Should have killed me. I will.
Stand and fight, brother!
Ben-Hur, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters, Real D 3D and IMAX 3D, August 19th.
There are many ways to see a movie, but only one way to see a first-run feature on a huge 41-foot brilliant screen with the only certified THX sound system for 500 miles around. The Commodore Theater on High Street in Portsmouth. Dine on fresh-made entrees, mouth-watering sandwiches with fresh-baked bread, fish and shrimp, award-winning chicken salad, fresh pop popcorn with real butter, and scrumptious desserts. All in a restored 1945 theater with tables and comfy chairs, as well as traditional balcony seating. Don't just watch a movie. Enjoy the experience at the Commodore Theater. Online at CommodoreTheater.com, on Facebook and Twitter, or call 393-6962 for more information. See movies the way they are meant to be seen, with fine dining in a classic setting at the Commodore Theater, 421 High Street in Old Town Portsmouth.
Attention homeowners, tired of paying too much for your energy bills? If you thought you didn't have a choice, you were wrong. Solar energy will power your home day or night and save you hundreds of dollars per year every year. By going solar, you'll take advantage of government tax credits, grants, and rebates, which won't last forever, saving you even more. Green Solar Technologies has years of experience as leaders in residential and commercial solar systems. You'll pay only a fraction of your current energy bill while increasing the value of your home by switching to solar. Call 888-445-6881 today for a free estimate to see if going solar is right for you. Green Solar Technologies will guide you through every step, including financing options, which will allow you to get your solar system for zero down or zero payments and zero interest for the first year. Stop paying high energy bills and start saving money by calling Green Solar Technologies today at 888-445-6881. That's 888-445-6881.
1.
Legal cash advance is not available in all states. Timing of funding varies case by case. Callers must be represented by an attorney. Repayment and interest apply upon case settlement.
I was in an accident and couldn't pay my bills. I called and got a cash advance on my legal case.
I tried to go back to work, but I couldn't. I needed some cash.
There's no credit check, and if I lost my case, I owe nothing.
Have you been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault? Do you have a bad drug or personal injury case? We can get you a cash advance on your case in as little as 72 hours. There's no risk or obligation to repay unless you win or settle.
I couldn't wait any longer for some money, and if I lost my case, I owed nothing, not one penny.
Call now. There's no credit check, and you only repay if you win or settle. Get a cash advance on your legal case in as little as 72 hours. Call 800-822-1298. 800-822-1298. 800-822-1298. 800-822-1298.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
You're listening to Breakfast with Bacon on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Now, back to Dr. Christine Bacon.
Thanks for staying tuned. I'm here with Adrien Jacob. He's the author of Man Speaks. That's the current working title. The book is soon to be published. Man Speaks. If you want to know what men think, this is a book you're going to want to pick up. And he's learned this out of his life of discernment, you haven't used the words, but a failed marriage or a former marriage. So struggle with that. But really trying to teach women about men. And I know a lot of us women, we do want to understand men. I do find it, I'm careful with my words because I do find the words men are simple, though true can be condescending, so if we do understand men.
And I think one of the desires of my speaking, of my teaching, of my website, thedailypleasure.com.
Thedailypleasure.com. No dashes, no spaces.
Nope, thedailypleasure.com, is to give men a permission to go there. Often they will, because it's so easy to, as we've talked about, to kind of skim along the surface of the relationship and not go deep. Well, I'm okay going deep. I love playing in the deep end of the pool.
Is that because you no longer feel threatened by going deep? Did that take exercise?
Because I'm comfortable with who I am.
But you weren't always comfortable with who
No,
you
absolutely
are.
not.
Right.
No.
So it was the broken marriage, the discernment of going, what is the problem with going deep? I guess there is no problem with going deep. These women are doing it. Let me try and figure this out, right?
Women are doing it, and they seem to be having a blast, and they have these incredible conversations.
Great relationships.
Oh my gosh!
Rich relationships.
I look at the friendships that my partner has with some of her girlfriends, and they have such rich communication. I'm like, I want that rich communication with my friends. I don't really want to talk about the politics of what happened last night on this. Yes.
Is that true for most men though? Because my husband's so happy with Fox News.
It's so easy because you don't have to go.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place. And it's a place where they are not threatened. They can be there. We can be our man. We can talk about sports. We can talk about politics. We can talk about, the great who's going to be in the next draft.
So do you think if every man knew that he'd be safe in that deep place, he wouldn't mind going there?
Exactly. If there can be a conscious decision, a conscious intention in a relationship that I desire to create a safe place with you where we can communicate about anything. And again, that's the book is going to create that muscle memory for a man that, okay, we can have this. I'm going to take this simple opportunity to have an experience, a sensual experience of pleasure, and I want to talk about it.
Which meets the male's need for sensuality, meaning the use of five senses, and the female's need for intimacy through verbal exchange.
I mean, even and this can move into any aspect of relationship. Obviously, there's a lot of places in our sensual and intimate connection where how I can share with you how much fun I have with my partner when we've had an incredible experience with our sensual time together, dialoguing about it. Like, oh my gosh, it felt like for me to be able to sit with somebody and go, it felt so filling when we did this. It felt so amazing. Oh my gosh, that it was ringing in my ears. My hands were tingling. my spine was shivering. I've been all day, I've been walking on high because of that connection that we had last night.
And I'm
that we
guessing,
shared.
talking to most men, have you run these principles by men, like these concepts of...
They are afraid to go there.
But they think that if they were able to get there safely, it would sound cool?
When I have spoken to men and have shared this with men, here's the other piece. When I've shared it with women, they are so eager to
have a man be there
to hear it. And so having it come from a man is so much less threatening than it coming from a woman.
Right.
That they can hear it and go, I think that, and I guess that's true. It is okay to go there. It is okay. I'm watching this man go in this deep place, having this deep connection, this communication with his partner, and every man has thought about it, and every man has felt resistance to move there because they're waiting for that golden invitation that says it's okay to go there.
Well, and you're almost done with my book, The Super Couple, and you really see that's basically the whole thread of super spouses, especially the super husband, is that intimacy is the most super you are is based on the most intimate you are. That if you're just more intimate, I can share with you who I am, thoughts, feelings, emotions, today's situations.
And vulnerability.
Yeah, the good times, the bad times. My boss yelled at me. There was, my husband would never have told me my boss was on my case because it was threatening to him. I'm not going to let her know. I'm just going to let her know what I'm succeeding and I got this award. And now that he's able to share that to me, it's like, I'll make up a story. Like, say if he said, I don't know if my boss likes me. That's extremely vulnerable for a man to say something like that. And
I'm not doing real well right now. I'm really struggling right now.
Yeah, I'm not making sales, and I fear that they're going to fire me or whatever. And it takes time too, though, doesn't it? Because you can't be with someone and trust them right away. Because we've had experiences of people who were not trustworthy. As well as maybe people who are, and that's kind of the dance. And
then we talked about faith. And do you have faith that your partner will receive you and hold you,
protect you,
and just
even you men protect you and your emotions.
Hold my space and let me get this off my chest without judgment. One of the tools that you talked about, are other tools that we use, and one of them, the most beautiful tool
in the book, transparency.
Is transparency. Imagine that between you and
Dan,
there is this beautiful, clear pane of glass, and obviously you can see each other so perfectly when that glass is clear. Well, every time there's a small hurt, a small misstep, a small misunderstanding, imagine this really mud comes from you and goes on your glass. And to create that place where we're going to say, Dan, there's something on my glass. I desire to clean my glass with you. Well, you've just created an invitation to create a sacred place, a sacred safe place. And you get together on the couch, you get together outside, you go for a walk on the beach, and you can say, Dan, here's what happened today. When we were getting out of the car,
and you said A, B, and C,
I felt this. And it's the recognition that it's not Dan's place to defend it or to say, oh, well, you should have thought this and this and this. It's just to listen.
It just
is. All you're saying is that every time you can share one of those little places, imagine you're taking that squeegee and just wiping that glass clean.
Yeah.
And he can do the same without judgment, without fear of reciprocity, without fear that you're going to be using this against them. It's just information that I got a little bit of insight into what makes Christine tick today. She shared with me where those hurts come from, and I can choose what I desire to do from it. I desire to love her magnificently. And of course, if this little misstep that happened because of my actions, I'm going to choose a different action for myself next time. That's all you're doing is creating awareness.
Instead of saying, what wasn't me? She should have done this. She was too sensitive, or stuff like that.
Just share it and allow and trust and have faith that your partner, who absolutely desires to serve you magnificently and love you even more magnificently, is going to find a way within himself to do so one step better each and every day. because it's a journey.
Right. Have you ever read any of John Gottman's books?
No, I haven't.
He's the grandfather of all marriage research. I've referred to him in my book a couple times, and he talks about in all of his research that he studied the 4 deadly horsemen of the apocalypse is what he calls them. He said when he can get a snapshot of a marriage and notice within 2 minutes if it's going to last or divorce, and he says the presence of any one of these 4, which is criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. My question to you, I have my own thoughts, but I'm curious, do you think that one gender is more inclined to criticize and one gender is more inclined to defend? And if so, which ones?
I would say no. I would say we all have that ability to be critical and defensive equally. I think I could just speak because I've experienced it on both sides of all of my relationships. I think men are probably better argumentative in arguing and defending themselves than perhaps women are. Where women will sometimes, for fear, not want to go and defend themselves more vigorously because of fear that they're going to push too hard.
Right.
And that this is as good as it's going to get for me. I really need to make this work. The idea that, sadly, that I have experienced with women in what I'll call certainly not model relationships is the willingness to settle. Settle for a way of being with a partner that isn't a full-on, joyful, loving, deep connection experience.
Right.
They'll settle for something less because this is as good as they're worthy of.
Right. And my book is all about that too. You shouldn't settle as well, but it comes from a different angle. Kind of like our grandparents had marriages where they kind of just married and they were unhappy and they stayed married. And then the generation after that, they all got divorced because they wanted to be happy, but they weren't all happy because they were divorced and they brought in new baggage. And my book on the super couple is saying you can have both. You can have the longevity and you can also have the happy. It's just that settling, sometimes we settle within our marriage. I could have left Annie and gone on to a new spouse so I didn't settle, or I could have said, no, I want more in this marriage and we're going to do what we can to make this one the ideal marriage in the future that I was looking for in another man that maybe I can get in you. And I think that's really where mine comes from, is this direction of, you and I both agree men and women speak differently. We need to understand that. And love and compassion and respect is going to get us there. But don't settle. If you're unhappy in your marriage, fix that marriage. Don't just tolerate bad behavior in yourself or your other. In your book, you talk about the kind of the differences between a hedonistic relationship and a eudaimonic relationship. And the word that I was coming to as I was reading your eudaimonic definition was a me-demonic relationship. Yeah.
Where
it's all about me.
It's all about me being my highest version of myself. And as part of that is happiness, and part of that is altruistic, and part of that is philanthropic, and part of that is caring for others, because it all serves me and my highest glory. For whose glory do I desire happiness? Is it for mine, or is it for
God?
Is it for my Creator? So I think there is a balance between the idea of pursuing hedonistic happiness and eudaimonic happiness as well, because the question is to never settle, to take the never settling pieces of hedonism and apply it to the altruistic ideas of eudaimonic.
We could twist that up, but we only have 2 minutes to go. Yeah, if you're going to be your best version of yourself, you got to giving it to God, and He can get you there. And goodness, we only have 2 minutes left, and there are so many notes that I wanted to get to on this show. So you know how I end my shows.
I have a plug, though, if you don't mind.
You can plug,
okay.
But I want to first tell you how I want you to end,
okay.
And then you can plug and then answer my question. But the question is going to be this. Name one new thing you'd have our listeners do differently as a result of something they heard today. So get your plug and then answer that question. I want them to leave here better people.
Thank you. My plug is actually on the 21st of August at 8:30.
Which is a Sunday.
We're going to be hosting...
8:30 a.m.?
p.m.
p.m.
We're going to be hosting a 1-hour call-in show where folks can go to my website, thedailypleasure.com.
Thedailypleasure.com, saying it slower.
Thedailypleasure.com. And I'll put a phone number where you can call in and ask questions about relationships. The takeaway I would say is tonight with your partner, ask them to spend 30 minutes with you talking about your day, dialoguing about your day. What was magnificent in your day today? The simple question, what was magnificent in your day today?
So engage, dialogue.
Yep.
Don't be afraid. And you can stay surface level if you want for a while, if that's where you're comfortable, until you get in a better place to where you can go deeper. But just starting conversations might be great for someone who, like me as a female, was starving for that stuff for many years. Adrien, I don't have time to let you say anymore because I have to take the show off the air. I am so excited. Adrien Jacob, author of Man Speaks. It's not yet in the bookshelves. It will be. Thank you so much for your time helping enlighten women about men and men about women. I'm looking at my clock. I just want to tell, I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. I want to remind every one of you to always remember to live your life sunny side up.